My name is Dana Peterson, and I am delighted to bring you a production about the Reformation with BBC News. Today we will be looking at the Reformation through the eyes of individuals that it affected, whether it be monks or priests or popes or peasants or martyrs. All have an important part to play in the story of the Reformation. We've traveled back in time to Wittenberg, Germany in 1517. Here's the church, and pretty soon Martin Luther will come and post his 95 Theses that are forever going to change the world. Although Martin Luther thought that his 95 Theses would only affect his small section of the world, little did he know that he would trigger the Protestant Reformation. Here we are with Martin Luther. He is indeed, right now, nailing his theses to the church door. Martin Luther, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
No, I don't mind.
Martin, can you explain to me what you've just done?
I have just posted the 95 Theses. And I do expect them to cause a disturbance. And possibly even change the world. But that's a secret. Thanks to my 95 Theses, maybe the people will understand half of the corruption in the Catholic Church.
BBC News is brought to you by the Documents of the Reformation. In 1517, Martin Luther, who was an Augustinian monk, nailed his 95 Theses to the door of the church in Wittenberg, explaining his grievances with the Catholic Church. This was one of the acts that sparked the beginning of the Protestant Reformation.
Welcome back. Here we are at Hampton Court Palace in England, where we will be meeting with Henry VIII. He has graciously agreed to answer some questions regarding the Protestant Reformation. King Henry, are you ready?
So are you married?
Yes, actually. Sources say you were forming a new church. Is that true?
Yes, actually. I'm calling it the Church of England.
Why are you making Church of England?
Oh, for purely religious reasons, of course. Marriage, actually.
The subject seems to be a favorite of yours.
I have a small problem, you see. I must divorce. My current wife, Catherine of Aragon, has been the ultimate failure and has disgraced me by not giving me a son.
Isn't that a little drastic? You want to start your own church because of your wife?
I simply cannot see it my way. It's caused a terrible ruckus. In fact, I'd rather not discuss it. It upsets me greatly.
Alright, then what is your next plan of action?
I'm so glad you asked. My original plan was to take Anne Boleyn as my wife, but if you're available, you'd suffice.
Definitely not. I'm not available. Thank you so much for your time, King Henry. We really have to be going. Welcome back. This is Dana Peterson from BBC News with Cattail Productions. Here we are in Geneva, Switzerland. We're going to interview today John Calvin and John Knox. These are two of the greatest reformers in European history. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. Just a few questions for you. First, John Calvin, what are you writing?
I'm writing what I like to call the Institutes of the Christian Religion.
Will you explain to us a little bit about your views on philosophy and the Christian faith?
Well, there are some key principles to remember. Number 1, man is totally depraved. Number 2, God has chosen those who will receive salvation, what I like to call unconditional election. Although Jesus' blood was sufficient for all, it is only effective for those who believe. Number 4, when God calls those he elects, they cannot resist him. This is the irresistible grace. Number 5, you cannot lose your salvation. This is called the perseverance of the saints. Wait a second. The combination of these 5 principles forms the word tulip.
So it does. I'll let you get back to what you were working on. Mr. Knox, what are you doing here in Geneva when you live in Scotland?
I am writing the first trumpet blast against the monstrous regiment of women. 3 women to be precise. Mary, Mary, and Mary. These women would be Mary Tudor, Mary Stuart, and her mother, Mary of Guise. I want the world to know that these women are not fit to rule.
Speaking of Mary, our next interview is in England with Mary Tudor and her sister Elizabeth. Gentlemen, for your time.
Right.
The Institutes of the Christian Religion, written by John Calvin, is one of the most important works of the Protestant Reformation. One important thing to note is that the 5 points of Calvinism were not drawn up by Calvin, but by his followers after his death.
Hello, Your Majesty and Your Majesty. Thank you for meeting with me today.
Yes, skip the cordialities. I have people to deal with. Protestants behead a certain sister to throw in the tower.
So, which of you is the rightful queen here?
I am. However, currently, I possess the crown. Elizabeth is trying to take it from me.
I told you again and again, I am not trying to take over.
All Protestants are traitors. Protestants are the enemies of the Pope and the Crown. We must rid them of the kingdom. Fortunately, Elizabeth is my sister and blood, giving her a less permanent punishment and sending her to the tower.
Someday, Mary, your insanity will be the death. The people of England will have a good, fair ruler who will take care of them. Maybe me. Wow, 2 women of great power, but of different strengths. Now for James I, the successor of Elizabeth I. Here we are with James I. Welcome, Your Majesty. Thank you for joining with us today. Would you please explain all the hustle and bustle going on in the court today?
Ah yes, the previous scriptural writings did not match the ecclesiology or reflect the episcopal structure of the Church of England. Therefore, I have assigned translators to write up a new authorized version of the scriptures to match the Church.
Oh, so that's how we got the King James Version. Okay, thank you for your time. The Reformation's impact on the world continues to this very day. From Martin Luther's 95 Theses to the rule of kings and queens, to the many divisions of the Church, Catholics, Protestants, Anabaptists, it is one of the defining moments of Christian history. This has been BBC News Special Report on the Reformation. For all of us here at BBC News, thank you and good night.